So let's take a look at what we're going to play with this week for our 12 weeks of Christmas. So in our core catalogue that is out from August this year through to July next year, we have got this range of wood letters, and they come in the entire alphabet obviously, and they are 4 inches tall, so they look just like this. They are reasonably thick, so possibly a little thick for an album if you don't like bulk, but very, very neat for decorating on more three-dimensional projects that you might have in mind. So I've got this whole array that I could choose from, and I'm thinking a Christmas sentiment. We could take a little bit of clues from some of the common words that are out there. We could do a banner that says Holly Jolly. We could do a banner that says 'Tis the Season. Obviously, Merry Christmas is a really good one. Holiday traditions, whatever it is that is a really cool word that pops out to you saying Christmas time. So I have gone very simple, and I've chosen to do the nice, simple, repetitious banner of ho, ho, ho. So I am going to use some of the products from the seasonal book. As you've seen, we've got this stunning, more traditional look of Christmas called Christmas Story. And we've also got, further back in the book, we've got our mix-in range, which also have really lovely tones that are going to tie in with that Christmas story, or be a little bit more contemporary if you're thinking about Christmas from a slightly lighter perspective. So let's see how we can go about creating these as a fun banner for Christmas time. So the first thing I did was went and used the free SVG file that comes with these letters and cut out of my Cricut the shapes of the letters H and O. Now I have actually cut it out in both black cardstock, and this is our black core, solid core cardstock, and some decorative paper. And the reason I'm layering up is just so that as it sits up on the wall, it has a lot more sturdiness to the whole structure. So I've layered the two different H's together initially. I'm using a little bit of that Christmas story pattern paper in the background, and then with the strips that I'm using are just little scraps from the mix-in range and little zip strips from the Christmas story. I do consider adding in a little bit of glitter trim, but I don't get there at this stage. Now when you're layering up the O, it's a little bit harder. You just have to overlap some of the edges and then use your scissors to fussy cut out those to trim them down. So now they are all ready to be placed onto the backing boards that we have got, just to make them a more sturdy banner. So that's looking great. I generally use the wet glue for this sort of project, and I use a bit of weight on top of them to let them dry. And just to tidy up the edges, given that we've been using different cuts of paper, I like to go around with my sponge dauber, just doing a little bit of a distressed look. Now this, because it's on wood, it is going to rip up your sponge dauber, so just use an old one, and I'm going around in black to give that nice little bit of shadow. And you'll see when I place the H down beside the O, it does make quite a difference. So I finish off doing all of those letters with the sponge daubing, and then I pull out what I've got left of my Christmas story embellishments. So there's this really fun acrylic Merry Christmas. So I figure ho 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 Merry Christmas is kind of the same. So that's how this is working now. So I add those on, and I find with the acrylics it's just as easy to use our Close to My Heart tape runner to adhere them down. I also had this little piece of holly from that embellishment set left, so I popped that there. I did have a little bit of fun trying to find my third red circle, little berry. I do finally find it after pausing the video, but there we go. We've got our third one going in as well. Now there are a few extra embellishments I still had left, which were things like these gorgeous little decorations that are in glitter paper. They have a little white acrylic topping to them too, which finishes them off nicely. And so this is where I'm going to start raising a few elements as well, because we can be a bit more three-dimensional on these sorts of projects. I'm also pulling in a lot of the little stars that are in the kit. And again, I'm going to raise each of these because they definitely stand out so much more if you've got that element of a bit of a shadow behind them, and they just have that sort of pop coming out at you. So I'm just doing a nice little sort of strip between the two of the letters of stars, and I repeat this on my other little sets of ho 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 as well, which you can see here. Now I go into my stash, and I had some black velvet ribbon, which is just perfect, and I had just enough too, so that was lucky. So I'm threading it through the holes, as you can see. And then once I've threaded it the whole way through, I have a completed banner ready to hang up on my wall, which I am so pleased with. It is such a quick and easy little project, uses up scraps that you've got lying around as well, and it's such a fun little festive element that you can add to your walls. Hope you enjoyed seeing this project this week. Check out my newsletter if you want to find out more.